thoughts from what you saw today?
I addressed both groups there. I just thought productive. Worked on a lot of things today. Obviously, we got some 5-on-5 structure in, a ton of special teams. Probably a credit to Jeff Weintraub, who is our kind of behind the scene camp organizer. And I thought that went extremely smooth. And then we introduced some 3-on-3, 4-on-4, which is part of our process along the way anyways. So we'll get some video off it, some reps. I thought some pretty good things, and all in all, a productive day.
The power plays that you saw, 4 1 minute segments at a time, kind of for both sides. What did you like, dislike about, as far as you can judge from
a lot of chances, which I liked. Obviously, the power play went over. Probably a little credit to some penalty kill, a little credit to some good goaltending, but all the power plays got a ton of looks and chances. If we went through a dry stretch like that in the regular season, we'd be happy knowing as long as you're getting those looks on the power play, it's going to go in. So I thought guys look comfortable in their spots. Again, we're going to have a work in progress. Like I mentioned yesterday, we're going to have some different looks in our power play. We'll give Shane probably a look up top. We'll give Raymond probably a look on both flanks. We're not sold or married to anything. Well, that was our first look. I thought it was fairly productive on the power play.
And you have quite a few veteran defensemen, but are you eager to see what Simon has to say for himself in exhibition? Give him some looks there.
Of course. Yep. If you recall last year, I think we played him 6 times, and we'll look to play him a lot also. It's a little tough with the exhibition matrix, if you will, with who's playing what and where, considering we have those 3 games in a row, and there's some PA rules to that. So it's going to be a little tricky putting all that together. But yes, we would love to see him a lot, very similar to last year.
And lastly, just with Sherrod, that gives up a little more opportunity, or do you expect him, Ben, to be back soon?
Yeah, I would expect him, it's probably sometime into the end of next week, maybe a little bit longer with his personal reasons, but he will be back somewhere within the exhibition games.
Thank you.
Ben?
Hey, Derek, is there any update on Matt Loff? That didn't look too good. He looked like
Nope.
He was hurting.
Did not look good. Upper body. He'll be out for a little bit here. Fortunately, there's nothing wrong with his head, which when my first look at it was, I thought it was a head injury. So I was obviously extremely concerned. I went right in the training room, and he shook his head, probably just, piggybacking him breaking his arm last year. But we almost had a little laugh about it, obviously the bad luck. So fortunately for me, it was nothing to do with his head, which was my first. I thought he was actually knocked out at first. So I was a little nervous about that, but it's an upper body, and we'll know more in time here.
Not tough. It's one of those guys that just can't catch a break, it seems like, or something.
Yeah, he made the joke right when I saw him. I was like, he was trying to get around Bergie, and he's like, Bergie's a really big guy to get around. He actually laughed at his own joke, which was a good sign, with some pretty good spirits. But unfortunately, yeah, he's had a couple bad, and he had a pretty good camp up to that point.
Did you like the pace today? It seemed like the pace was pretty good.
I loved it. We weren't trying to think outside the box. We're just doing something different. We had this vision of how these 3 periods would look in the red-white game, which hasn't been traditionally the same look, as you guys know, because we wanted to be productive and work on some things. And it went a lot probably smoother than I had anticipated. Pace of the first game, pace of the special teams, probably a credit to the staff and, again, Schwabi and LJ, who organize a lot of that behind the scenes. There was good flow to it. There was rest, the way the reps were designed with the special teams. Even though there's 3-on-3, 4-on-4, I thought it was able, because of that, we were able to keep a good pace.
The last one, I think you've mentioned him a couple times here, but Soderblom, nice goal today. I mean, is he moving better? It seems like, is
Yeah.
he kind of, yeah.
It looks that, and you still want him, and we still have some growth for him away from the puck, which he's very noticeable with the puck or when he's hunting the puck. We still want some growth with him away from the puck too.
Appreciate this. Thanks, Derek.
Lindsay?
Hey, Newsy, for you, as you kind of navigate this training camp, the next phase now, I know there's still practice tomorrow, but what's kind of the focus heading into the preseason schedule?
It's exactly that. Those games, predominantly structure, getting our game in order, but obviously with some added depth. We're going to have some decisions with personnel and some decisions with personnel in our special teams, which is a good luxury too. So, a combination of our structure, but figuring out some personnel, some true competition throughout the exhibition.
And then last one for me, can you just speak to the impact that the Traverse City, volunteers community has for the Red Wings, especially during this training camp with all the people in the stands and everyone that just chips in and helps out with the team?
It's amazing. And you guys are here. I got that question from George the other day. You almost have to experience it to understand how impactful they are, the type of job they do, the passion of the volunteers, the passion of the fan base. It always amazes me. This year was no different, and maybe another level with some of the excitement around the arena here in Traverse.
Thanks, Newsy.
Max?
Hey, Derek, you were talking about Simon. He was saying a minute ago that he's really kind of taken note of how hard guys like Larkin and Sider compete up here. I'm just curious if you've seen a jump there from him year over year from last camp to this year.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, the tough thing with Simon is he did not have a true summer. He literally was just cleared just before camp. So obviously he's trained, he's done his work because he's in great shape, and it looks seamless, but it's still fast reps for him. But I think that's a step in the direction of that leadership group. Obviously, I know there was some intensity to some parts of the scrimmage today. Even a couple of the guys you mentioned were banging heads, and there was some intensity between a couple of those guys. But I think that's a step in our growth.
Then just talking about the goalies, what have you thought so far of Lyon and of Reimer, and how open a competition is that for kind of who's going to be Vili's primary number two?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we'll keep evaluating. Obviously, both those guys had really strong days. It was really hard not to notice Reimer today. If you're going to ask me the one guy that really stood out, it was him, which was obvious with the way he played. But Lyon had a good day today too, and Vili did too. Gave 2 goals early, but then looked really sharp. Part of the special teams with the penalty kill going 100%. Over the 16 minutes was the goaltending. It was really sharp. Everyone in net there.
Thank you.
George?
Coach, can you talk about the different perspective that delegating to your assistant coaches gives you, being able to watch from the end of the rink and just sort of have a different outlook on the game, not having to worry about managing it and instead assessing players?
Yeah, I actually ran one of the teams. I ran all the meetings. I was on one of the benches. I was with the white team. So unfortunately we came up on the other end of it. But I did that because I wanted to be part of the process. But yes, I think this is a good opportunity to delegate with our groups, with the coaches. Again, I think it just has more to do with just fresh voices at times. We kind of want to spread that message around, and full trust in all of our staff. So that's a little bit by design.
We spoke with Simon about being paired with Jeff Petrie, and apparently they're sitting together. Can you talk about the role that Petrie can provide just in general on the team, not only for Simon?
Yeah, a ton of experience there, obviously. Not only is there a wealth of experience in Petrie, his career. There's a calming experience from him. He's a very laid back personality. He's very calm in a lot of situations. I think just an absolute professional. And I think that's going to be beneficial for Simon, a really good example.
And I'm just curious, it looked like a lot of the AHLers, everybody who has a decent chance of making the team, or at least most of them, took a rep with the early morning squad. Can you talk about maybe somebody like Sebastian Cosa, getting in, getting up at 6 a.m. to come to practice and getting those reps in, with the goaltending coaches? I think that, it speaks well of all the AHLers and ECHLers as well, that they're that dedicated to coming to the rink and learning.
Yeah, it's all part of it. Just the way the camp is formatted and the structure of it. It's their job, sometimes just earlier than other times. But yeah, all part of it. And you kind of want to, you hopefully establish a culture of that.
Thank you.
Last question, we'll go to answer.
Yeah, Derek, with Petrie and Gastus Beher joining Sider and Wallman, you have more options at the top there on the power play. Just what will go into your decision as far as who winds up on those units? Do you necessarily need a left shot on one and a right shot on the other, or what goes into your thinking there?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily left, right to one or the other, but obviously, ideally, you'd like hands facing each other, throughout a power play. Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time. So just many different looks for different reasons. Again, some added depth 5-on-5, but there's been some added power play depth. So we want to try to maximize personnel as much as possible, and we'll work our way through that in the exhibition season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.